6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Studio B in San Francisco's beautiful Marina District. Here we're at the Beach Street Yacht Club as usual. Julia is with us. I trust you are well.
Amazingly enough, I am.
You're kind of leaning in there. You're looking at the fine print on your computer, or?
Yes.
Welcome, everybody, to show number 513, fully packed show. We're delighted to have Jeffrey Petersen, our foes. He's been on the show any number of times, has been writing for the website back when we were doing the website regularly. Jeffrey is with us. He's live via Skype from Newport Beach. We'll get to him in a minute after we do our John Emmett segment and a few other things here. At the top of the show, I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Did I say that, Julia? I'm not sure I did. Doesn't matter. I think probably everybody knows. Let's get to the pre-start. And the first thing is, Julia, do you know what day it is today?
I think I read it.
What?
Big wind.
You did see it. Oh, you saw when I was running through the slides with Jeffrey, or did you look at someplace else?
I just saw it.
Well, it is the Big Wind Day. I had no idea there was such a thing. In fact, not only that, there is, in fact, an International Wind Day in June. Don't ask me why, but today in the U.S., at least, is our National Big Wind Day. Why?
Yes, who sponsors it? Yeah.
Well, it's just one of these things.
Yeah.
I mean, what, you're not going to sell greeting cards or calling cards, are you? On
What?
Big Wind Day?
Well, you can
Jeffrey's
send it.
playing with his hair. He must have the wind blowing through his hair there. It's National Big Wind Day, observed each year in the U.S. on April 12th. National Big Wind Day commemorates the recording of the highest natural wind gust measured on the Earth's surface,
Oh.
at least until a few years ago. On the afternoon of April 12, 1934, the Mount Washington Observatory recorded winds at 231 miles per hour. It's always one of the windiest places in this country.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like year round. But that's what happened on this day, afternoon, April 12, 1934. However, observers Wendell Stevenson, Alexander Mackenzie, and Salvatore Pagliuca reported the wind gusts in 1934 from the Mount Washington Observatory. The record even held for several decades. In 1984, the observers returned to celebrate the record-breaking wind's 50th anniversary. Breaking wind, Julia, there's an anniversary.
I was going to say it, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Breaking wind. Then in 1996, the Big Wind Award from atop Mount Washington fell. A typhoon struck a small island off Australia with winds measured at the traditional 10 meters above the ground, above sea level, wind gusts of up to 256
Wow.
miles per hour, or so they say. Regardless, happy National Big Wind Day.
We know a couple of big wind somebodies, don't we?
Who?
Oh, I don't know.
Name somebody.
How about you?
No, certainly not me. Maybe Jeffrey, but I don't know. Maybe Andy Rose, our mutual
Andy
friend.
Rose.
Andy Rose.
Yeah.
Got a lot of comments on here, Julia. Folks from all over checking in. Jonathan Frank in Galveston, where it's gusting to 35, he says. Ted Ryman's in Cape Town, as usual, South Africa, the RSA, Republic of South Africa. Bushes, Franks, and Beans are the sponsors of Big Wind Day.
Oh, yes.
What's something we said as kids? Something's beans.
Beans, a musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you toot.
Jeffrey, have you heard?
That's an old one.
I don't have his mic up, but he's shaking his head. Yes, beans, a musical. That's something from like third grade, Julia.
Yes, it is.
Steve Ross, Gordon Smith, Dancing Cow Day. Really? Balboa Fleet, Bay Fleet. Well, on and on and on. Roger Lockhart, who is a member of Balboa Yacht Club, is saying, my son Daniel extends his congratulations to Jeffrey, Max, et al. On your successes of late, and on and on and on. Good afternoon from a beautiful spring day in Boston. Ed Worley saying hi. Clayton Allen Embley from the Bourbon Boats, and many, many others. Charles Hart. Hello, Commodore Hart. Sail away. Afternoon from Cal Maritime. Julie Aaron's in Cleveland. We just want to say hi to all the folks, the regulars, and more. A lot of folks on here already.
Steve Atkins in Southern Connecticut.
Steve Adkins, Commodore Adkins.
Commodore Atkins.
Steve Ross down in San Diego Padre land. We talked about the Padres on the last show, didn't we?
Yes, we have to touch base with our favorite correspondent.
Yeah, we do. Blake Middleton up in Minnesota. Christopher Gillingham over in Leamington with his wife Jane, as usual. Peter Taylor, by the way, remind me, Jeffrey, Peter Taylor, who's you met here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. I'm going to turn your mic up, Jeffrey, a little earlier than usual. Welcome to Jeffrey Petersen, who's down in Newport Beach, our guest today. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing good.
You've had a whirlwind tour and a couple of wins here we're going to talk about. But do you remember Peter Taylor, whom you met here at the Beach Street Yacht Club the Saturday night during Sail GP?
I do, yes.
And he is the one. Did you see him at this past weekend at Oak Cliff?
I don't think so. And we were pretty busy, so.
Well, he was there in some capacity. And you asked me when we did our brief tech check where those photos came from. Peter Taylor took some photos and sent them to us, and that's how I had photos of you on the website, on my Facebook page ahead of time. So, well, we'll get to that in a sec. I want to go into a Bravo Zulu. I know he's not the most popular person in the UK, but he is looking with each passing day more and more like the leader of the free world. And I don't know what else to say than, he has the cojones. To go over there and go to Ukraine and walk around with Zelensky. I don't see many other national leaders. And I know Boris has got some political problems at home, as we all know, but especially you Brits. But bravo Zulu to him for going over there and waving at least the NATO flag, shaking hands with some of these poor folks. We haven't talked much about the war, and we hope not to, because we like to stay on sailing and less about COVID, more about the war. But this is impacting all of us, and we'll talk about chemical weapons and about weapons that the NATO countries are going to supply, and the Chinese moving weapons into Serbia on behalf of the Russians. This thing is not going away anytime soon, as John Emmett and several others of you predicted. It would not. So it's going to affect our lives, sadly. And John Emmett is saying a very big battle to come in the East next week. J. Frederick Bland saying President Biden, if he'd gone, would need a walker. Bravo Zulu, Boris, job well done. Christopher Gillingham in Leamington is saying, big win, Bojo. I didn't mean that. But I just thought this was a super move. And all of us, I'm sure, our hearts and prayers and thoughts and on, it sounds so trite, but are with the people in Ukraine, especially our sailing friends in the Ukraine, and even our Russian friends who are Russian sailing friends who are dispossessed by all this. I don't know what this chicken thing was about. It must be something local in Ukraine, but it was, you know what it was, Julia?
It's a national symbol of somebody's.
It is? Well, it was a cool thing, and bravo Zulu to Bojo, to Mr. Johnson, the Prime Minister, of course, of the UK, as you all know. And I thank goodness somebody is leading the Western world these days. This gets us to the starting line, and we're going to go right to Palma because we have, first of all, a really cool report from John Emmett. This is not his official report. This is a video he did about the Ilka 6 regatta and the results. Enjoy.
After a busy weekend at Weymouth for the final UKLA Spring Qualifier, it was time to head to the Princess Sophia Regatta in Palma. Here, over 1,000 sailors are taking part in the first World Cup of the year. The qualification series was dominated by Sarah Douglas from Canada. She got a second and then 3 consecutive first places to lead going into the finals. The first day of final was a wet and windless affair.
It looks like today is a day for patience. Rain and no wind, meaning we've got a long wait before we can go on the water.
A postponement on shore meant a lot of hanging around for the sailors before racing could eventually get underway. Unfortunately, a UFD for Sarah in the first race put the pressure on her, but she came back for second place to lead overall after 6 races. Day 4 and 5 were the final 2 days of the final series, and they brought the conditions which Palmer is famous for. Medium to strong southwesterly breeze and big rolling waves. Sarah Douglas from Canada won 3 out of 4 races to take the gold medal. Behind her, Hannah Snellgrove and Vasilia Karakoyou are guaranteed silver or bronze medal, and this is going to be decided in the medal race. There was lots of drama in the medal race, with Greece and UK match racing for the silver medal. At start time, both boats thought they were over and went back behind the line. Up the first beat, Hannah continued to the left and was first into the pressure to lead Vasilia for the entire race. In the end, the medals remain the same. That's gold to Canada, silver to GB, and bronze to Greece. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share and subscribe.
That gets our rock and roll.
Yes. That water looks really lumpy.
It is. Well, it was the last couple of days when it was so breezy on and off. But Blake Middleton saying Sarah Douglas really did raise the bar with her impressive performance at the first World Cup event of this cycle and her first win, her first podium, I think, at such an event. Stingray saying, cool soundtrack, John Emmett. How many sailors from the USA? I don't know offhand, Ed Worley. There were a fair few, but nowhere near as many from Oz and from Greece and Great Britain and any number of other countries. So we will get a little more into detail about that in a sec, but let's first do our John Emmett segment. He, our master, mentor, regular contributor to the show, for which we are very grateful. He's checking in today from Southampton.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fosi. You can probably guess I'm in sunny Southampton, just been making my way back from the Princess Sophia in Parma, and we'll be getting back to Weymouth fairly soon. So now it's time for some much needed rest and recuperation, and of course to see my lovely wife Lily. Princess Sophia was an amazing regatta. I hope people had a chance to see the highlight video I did for the Ilka Sixes. The course was a long way away from the harbour. We were usually on course 7, so we didn't actually see that much of the other classes other than the sail in and the sail out. But again, amazing to have 1,100 sailors. So excuse me as I'm walking along, try not to walk into people. You can hear a bit of traffic. People may have remembered from a previous photo I sent Tom, this is actually where one of the large trees fell down, but it's not that windy today. In fact, heading back to Weymouth, looking at the forecast, it looks like we have very light winds, which often seems the way. Wonderful conditions for coaching, and then maybe not even able to sail myself, but we'll see some projects when we get back, looking at improving some of the rigging in the Ilka. It's amazing, such an old design of boat. We're still making changes there, and one of the big things is an adjustable tow strap system. It's something probably looked at 10 years ago before it was class legal, but now to have that option to put a cleat in, and it's all about those marginal gains. For the people who followed the overall results of Princess Sophia, because I figure this is definitely a day I can have a rest day. Nobody's going to be wanting coaching now straight after the regatta. The British sailing team, as you might expect, did superbly well, winning a number of classes, 6 medals, and I think when you're in that winning atmosphere, it does make it easy to perform. In fact, it's probably of no surprise when I flew back to Bournemouth, the plane did have an awful lot of British sailing team people in, so that was quite a nice atmosphere. The next regatta after this will be, big regatta. I'll try and do some talk about the soft, but I think due to logistics I might not be on the ground myself. And of course the next World Cup is in Holland, and the World Cups, it's just a wonderful thing, bringing absolutely everyone together. So enjoy the show, and I'll say it again, I hope that 2022 we have lots and lots of focus on sailing.
One can only hope. Lots and lots of focus on sailing and not. This is from John, the end of his video. He's putting the Ukraine flag up, and bravo Zulu to him for that. He's on here watching, of course, and he's a couple comments. Stingray asking, John, what makes Sarah Douglas's game so good? The Canadian ILCA 6 winner, gold medalist there. He said, John did, boat speed makes you a tactical genius. Right, Jeffrey?
Absolutely.
I can't remember a regatta when I wasn't tactically good when I had superior boat speed. I can think of some where I didn't have very good boat speed, and my tactics were great, and I still lost.
Yeah, you gotta have that boat speed. It makes a different, it completely changes the game. If you're not quick, you're not gonna be able to do anything you want to on the race course.
Exactly right. Well, we'll get back to Jeffrey in a minute, who's our special guest today. Now, from another perspective, this is Bo Outeridge's video for the Australian sailing team, focusing mostly on the Australians, but they also had a good regatta. Have a look.
Today was my first medal race, so I was pretty excited. I was in 10th position coming in, and I could gain a few places, but I really had nothing to lose, so I just went out there for the experience and had just like such a fun time. And like it was a bit stressful at the beginning because it's quite a different environment when you're on shore and just like being around with everyone, but once you get out there it's just the normal routine of sailing. So yeah, it was a really fun experience. I'm very proud of our radial squad. We're doing so well at the moment, and we've come a really long way, and we've fought really hard to be here. So for all of us to be doing really well, and 3 of us could have been in the medal race today. So it's really exciting to see how we're progressing, and we're definitely becoming a dominant force in the fleet. So I'm excited to see how we grow over the season and over the next few years.
Yeah, it was a fun day for the medal race. I mean, we had some offshore breeze from the mounds, which were making it kind of tricky, and yeah, big pressure differences and big shifts, but yeah, that just spices things up in the medal race. So yeah, I mean, it was mathematically possible to take out the win here today, but yeah, it was a hard ask. I mean, everything needed to fall into place, but did all I could with winning the medal race, and yeah, climbed up to 2nd overall, which yeah, I mean, after the way the week started, yeah, not unhappy with that. Obviously it's a bit frustrating as well that if things had gone my way at the start of the week, then obviously, yeah, probably be standing on the top step. But yeah, nothing you can do about that now, and it's yeah, it's a good way to kickstart the new campaign as well. So yeah, looking forward to Hier's in a couple of weeks' time, and obviously the World's in May too. So yeah, pretty happy at the moment.
Another great report, and I don't, from the Australian sailing team, Bo Outeridge, Nathan's brother. I don't understand why more national federations, I understand it's a money thing, why they don't send somebody like Bo to go produce a video or a few videos. You got John doing it specifically for the ILCAs, and with a bit of a British focus, but not really on the ILCA focus, laser focus. Why more? This is a video world. Look at us. 500 shows, a couple of old farts here like Julie and myself and our dotage, and we can produce a live television show 2 days a week. Certainly the federations can start to produce some of this stuff, right, Julia?
Absolutely.
And, you look at what we're doing at Gov Cup, and at we're going to do Rose Cup this year, and it's not hard. World Sailing, to their credit, is producing some videos. Here is their review video of Palma for all the classes. This video got an endorsement from my longtime friend Joe Holtzman, who's a sailor from Michigan and now lives in Colorado. And Julia, he's our age. I mean, he's probably closer to you in age than myself. And he's saying, what a great video that was. Absolutely good stuff. In fact, Jonathan Frank and lots of others are saying, and John Emmett is replying already to a comment from Jonathan Frank saying, John, could you do a quality demo video of how to do a quality video? And, you know, doing videos is, and that's why because I'm basically lazy. That's why doing live for me, all the prep goes ahead of time. I can do the prep all day yesterday and this morning, but when we go live, and then it's done. And when you shoot a video like John does, even for us, for this show, he is shooting the video and okay, he's almost live to tape. But he has to, and especially these YouTubers go back and they will spend, you know, maybe hours. 3 hours for every 3 minutes of video that they produce. So, you know, something like that. It's extraordinary. But maybe what we'll do is get John on here and do a demo for us live of how he does videos next time he's on the show. John, would you be willing to do that? That would be I think, a good service. Yeah. Pindar is saying USA won the foiling kite and came second in the 49ers. That's correct, and we're going to feature them in a moment. Looks to me like KR is having a great early impact. Yes, I'm not sure Paul was there, but Luther Carpenter, the head coach, was there, and the U.S. certainly had its best World Cup regatta in a long time. Stingray is saying, before I forget to mention, Ineos team GBR, or Britannia, is rumored to be setting up their new base in Mallorca starting soon. Mallorca, interesting. IQ foil and slow-mo, why? I don't know, Steve Atkins, good question. But it's interesting. Emmett thinks that the kites are the most exciting to watch. Okay, maybe. But, yeah, the USA really do need to have a squad at the major circuit, Gordon Smith is saying. I'm not sure I agree with that, Gordon. There's back and forth, and I think KR is going to strike a nice middle ground where he's got lots of action here in the U.S. and more local regattas, so more sailors can, from the U.S. and Canada and Mexico, wherever, and even abroad if they want to come, can come together and do their thing without having to spend so much time and so much money on the roads, particularly in Europe. And it's also, remember how difficult it is for those down under.
Oh, yes.
And they seem to, particularly the Aussies, keep doing a good job. Okay, nice video from World Sailing. Now, I'm going to give why are we spending so much time on this? It's the first regatta, the first big Olympic classes regatta, International Olympic classes regatta of this quadrennium. And don't forget, the Olympics are in 2 years' time, just a little over 2 years from now. So that's Paris, and the racing will be in Marseille. So I just want to spend a little time on this, get to know the names, put some shout-outs, bravo Zulus to some of these folks, because this is a pretty, as Emmett will tell you, this is a pretty good early indication of who's going to medal and who's not. So in Canada, Canada, I tried to get her on the show. We were back and forth, but this time of day, it's in Barcelona right now, it's 22:27, so it's late CET. And she goes to bed, she says, at 21. And when she's in Europe for the next few weeks. So we'll get her on sooner or later. She's been on the show, I think, twice.
Yes.
Bravo Zulu, Sarah Douglas of Canada. Her first podium, her first win at one of these World Cup events. In the Ilka 6, she won the gold. Terrific stuff. She said, I am so happy with the week and the way I sailed. I can't believe it. It's my first podium and my first World Cup win. I am stoked. I was kind of the queen of sixth place over the last quadrennium. And I told myself I wanted to stand on the podium on this journey to Paris 2024. And so I am so happy to start off like this. Bravo Zulu, Sarah.
Absolutely. She's terrific.
Also, bravo Zulu to this guy, Michael Beckett, whom I don't know. John obviously knows him well. He was the gold medalist. Or he won the gold. He was not the gold medalist in Tokyo. Matty Weirn from Australia was. But in the Ilka 7, he won here. And he commented, quote, at one point it looked like I would be last, which would not have been good at all. Matt was winning, and so we would have won the event. Matt would have. It was unbelievably stressful until I crossed the line. I have grown up racing against these Olympic medalists, and so I do know exactly how hard it is to beat them because I've never done it before. It feels good. Another kid coming up in the British effort.
I sort of like that they aren't doing the aw shucks routine. Yeah.
No, exactly. They seem confident, but not. They still seem humble. They don't seem overly humble, right?
No, I like that.
Speaking of Matt Wern, who I do know, and is just a terrific guy, Australian. He was the silver medalist. He had an absolute shocker on the first day. Broke some equipment and didn't even look like he'd be on the podium. And he said, second place at the first event after the games is good. I am happy. I had breakage on the first day, and it was a bit uphill after that. It is a bit frustrating because if I had a decent first day, then I would have been in the hunt to win. But we still have Hier in France next at the end of this month, in fact. So bravo Zulu to Maddie. Now this, Julie, is your local favorite, our local favorite here, who was the gold medal. She came from behind in the women's Formula Kite, Daniela Moros, St. Francis Yacht Club. And she had been playing catch up all week. But today, the last day of the regatta, which was Saturday, the reigning world champion put the hammer down to overtake the yellow jersey of Lauriane Nolot from France, who had led for most of the regatta. Ali Aldridge, again from Great Britain, look at that, took the bronze. Julia, I put this gratuitous photo of our yacht club, of your yacht club. I call Balboa Yacht Club my home yacht club, as you know, because I sail mostly down there with Jeffrey and co. He got a smile and a thumbs up from Jeffrey about Balboa Yacht Club. Jeffrey sails up a lot up here too at St. Francis. Daniela Moros, who's born and bred here in the Bay Area, she said, that was one of the most intense finals of my life for sure. It was so hectic. I definitely had my work cut out on the last one because I had a bad start, meaning the medal race. I just had a good attitude to keep fighting to the end, as in these conditions, anything can happen. It is never over. I kept going and took advantage of every shift and came away with a bullet. It means everything to win here. Everyone is super excited to be in amongst all the other Olympic sailing classes and to be in this environment. So kiteboarders are happy. The Formula Kites, including our local hero, Daniela Moros. Now, apropos the mention of the second place, finished by the U.S. team. This is an up-and-coming team. They've been okay. They've been pretty good. Ian Barrows in Hans Henken, the USA, they won the silver medal in the 49er. Today's medal race, they said, this is Ian saying, today's medal race was really exciting. We started off the race and split from the fleet. The shift came along in our favor, and we were even with the French team. And then we got a nice lefty at the end of the first beat. Then we were in second, and the French team was in last, unquote. Hans Henken added, quote, so Ian turns to me and says, quote, the French guys are in last, what do we do? And I said, quote, I guess we just keep sailing fast and see how it plays out. So bravo Zulu to them as well. They look like they're on the path maybe to an Olympic medal, at least here in the early going of this quadrennium, even though we're halfway through this quadrennium. Now, this is kind of a cool thing. Ruggero Tita and Caterina Bonti from Italia, they won the NACRA 17 gold. The reigning NACRA Olympic champions, gold medalists from Italia, Ruggero, and I think it's Ruggero, not Ruggero, Ruggero and Caterina, started their new campaign in the most dominant form, winning by 36 points.
Wow.
They have set a new standard for fast upwind performance in the foiling NACRA 17 catamaran, but say they have only just begun. Quote, we won here in Palma in 18, said Tita after coming ashore from winning the medal race. Quote, it feels good to win 4 years later at the same point in the Olympic cycle. Also, it is great to win overall in the whole regatta, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Unquote, best of the rest and taking the silver medal was Sanim Kurtbay and Akseli Keskinen. I'm sorry. Keskinen. You have Finnish friends, lots of them, Julia. Yes. I have a couple. But from Finland, we'll get John Emmett to give us a pronunciation of that. With John Gimson and Anna Burnett from guess where?
Yes.
Guess where? GBR.
They have a real program.
They have a real program. I mean, they have a real program for years. So bravo Zulu to them. Now the explanation. These two from Italy, the Trofeo Princesa Sofia Mallorca Trofeo, is unique among major multi-class Olympic regattas in delivering an overall winner. This year's winners are Ruggero Tita and Caterina Bonti, who take the overall title from Palma as well as dominating their division in the NACRA 17. The winner is the boat with the lowest average points after dividing the total points in the regatta series by the number of races completed. The lowest average points per race, including any discard. The Italians won 9 of their 13 races, convincing overall winners. Bravo Zulu to Tita and Bonti. That's just
good.
Fantastic, and I like that idea, having an overall winner at a regatta.
I did too. I was wondering how they were doing it, and that's just super.
And a great explanation.
Yes.
I think so. Terrific stuff. Nice stuff all around, and we got comments. Finn NACRA is still a pretty new team on the way up. Emmett is saying, yep, indeed. The Finnish NACRA team. This is well worth spending time on, Blake Middleton is saying, thank you. The Hague is just over 1 year. What does that mean, Den Haag? Bravo, Sarah. Yep. From, who's JDP, Duarte? John Emmett, Mickey, also the European champion, yes. Talbot Wilson down in Pensacola saying hi. Ellie is Mickey's girlfriend, FYI. Ooh, okay, John. Emmett saying it's still very early to be making predictions about Paris 2024. Let us review the World Sailing Worlds in 2023. Yes, he has said that's a better indicator. John and Anna are another GBR couple. Nice. Replying to John Emmett, Mickey hasn't switched teams yet. The World Sailing Worlds will be Aussie in The Hague, Den Haag next year. So that's kind of the Olympic warm-up regatta 1 year in advance, Julia, of the Olympics themselves. Although they'll have a practice regatta also in Marseille, no doubt. Okay, so what's the next regatta? It is in. It's not one of these Hempel World Cup regattas, but all the teams will be leaving. Most of them will be going up to France for Year Week, which is the 23rd to the 30th of this month, so just in a couple weeks' time. And we shall see how everyone does there, and we'll be following this, but I hope that gives you a little feel for who's doing what to whom in the Olympic classes, as we are already well and truly into this quadrennium. Speaking of following somebody who is having a fabulous go in our beloved sport, that's Jeffrey Petersen, who is our guest today, representing his Golden State Match Racing, and he is live from Newport Beach down in SoCal. You can see the Balboa Yacht Club Burgee, Jeffrey, on your shirt, and that new logo there, GS, on your right side of your shirt, left side as we look at it. How'd you used to be Cricket Racing? How did it come to be that you're now Golden State Racing? Oops, let me turn your mic up. Take two.
Well, yeah, to get from cricket racing to Golden State Match Racing has been a bit of a journey. Obviously, cricket was my name, especially on the It's Okay with some of the older guys on board. I was one of the younger guys, and so we just decided that we wanted to make a change and come up with a little bit more of a professional name so that we can, compete at the highest levels of our sport.
I won't ask you who gave you that name, Cricket. Look at how circumspect he is today.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
he is circumspect. Okay, Jeffrey, let's go look at these photos, because thanks to Peter Taylor, the Fozy, who is from New York City and helps out a lot at various clubs, including and especially Oak Cliff, he sent me a few of these photos before even regatta results were out. Tell us what's going on here. Well, this is not Peter Taylor's photo. This is the regatta before Oak Cliff. Yep. You won the Butler Cup at Long Beach Yacht Club in the Cat 37s, 2 or 3 weeks ago now?
Yep, that is correct. It was the first weekend in April that we went up to Long Beach to compete in the Butler Cup. It was actually the 2021 Butler Cup, so they're making it up from last year, and the 2022 Butler Cup will be sometime in November. But yeah, this is a great event for us and the team. We used it as a little bit of a training event. Going into this coming week and the following week, we're racing in the Figure Cup, hoping to qualify for the Congressional Cup again. So we've been working really hard, putting in a lot of man hours with the team, doing a lot of video sessions behind the scenes to get the boys ready to go and compete again this year, and hopefully make it to the big show at the Congressional Cup.
So what is the Butler Cup? Does it qualify you for anything, or is it just a practice regatta?
Right. So the Butler Cup is a qualifying event for Long Beach teams. So any Long Beach Yacht Club team that races in the Butler Cup, the highest placing Long Beach team gets a spot in the Ficker Cup. We had already received an invitation to sail in the Ficker Cup some weeks prior, so this event was pretty much a training event for us, although it did earn us an invitation into the California Dreaming Series, which is a match race series here in California, comprised of 3 events, one in Long Beach, one in San Francisco, and one in San Diego. So we'll be looking to compete in that series this year as well.
So there were only 3 teams, and I assume Dave Hood, who is a Long Beach Yacht Club guy, by finishing 3rd, he qualifies for the Ficker Cup this coming weekend.
Yes, technically, the qualification, though, is for the next Ficker Cup. So it's not for this Ficker Cup, but the next one. But that's no worries for Dave, as he's already been selected as the Long Beach Yacht Club entry into the Congressional Cup this year. So he doesn't need to sail in the Ficker Cup.
So who was with you on your Butler Cup team?
Right, so from left to right here, a little bit of some new faces to the team as we slowly start to build our repertoire of sailors to the team. As you know, not everyone can make every event, so we've been working to branch out and fold in some new sailors to the program to continue to be competitive at all times of the year. So from left to right, we have Ken Scherb, then Max Brennan, Peter Sangmeister, myself, Max Mail, and finally Brian McMartin.
Now, Ken Scherb has been helping us on the Gov Cup TV, and I think he's going to again this year, is he too old to sail in Gov Cup?
He is not too old to sail. I don't believe he is planning to sail this year, though. I think he was planning to come and help out with the Gov Cup media. I know he had a really good time doing that last year.
He was good at it, too.
Yeah, he was. He was a big help, indeed. Okay, so now we'll go forward to the regatta this past weekend at Oak Cliff, which is a qualifier for the U.S. National Match Racing Championship. And Jeffrey Petersen from Balboa Yacht Club wins the 3rd David Storrs Memorial Qualifier, qualifying him for the U.S. MRC, which is we call it that, but we used to call it the Prince of Wales Bowl here in the U.S. I think that's right. Pearson Potts from Southern Yacht Club and also New York Yacht Club came in 2nd, right behind Jeffrey, but now without a strong fight in the Petit Finale. Peter Wickwire, whom I don't know, won the first 2 over Dave Perry, leaving him in 3rd place overall and Perry in 4th. Jeffrey, how did it feel to beat your mentor and my longtime dear friend of, basically 50 years, David Perry?
Yeah, it was definitely a really great feeling to go out. Dave has been really influential in me and several of my team members' match racing careers. I mean, we went to his clinics for 4 or 5 years in a row, and he was the guy who got us hooked on it. We went to our first regattas with him. He was our first coach in match racing. So to be able to get out and get into a starting box with him for the first time was a really special feeling. And although we didn't actually beat him in the round robin race, it was a really close race. You could chalk it up to umpire calls. You could chalk it up to Dave just had a better race. But that's racing. But we did end up beating him in the regatta, and then we're also looking forward to racing him again this week in the Ficker Cup as well. So really, really cool opportunity to be able to come out and race against your mentor. It's just such a special feeling.
Is this the first time that you raced Dave Perry in a match racing regatta, not just in a clinic?
This is the first time I've ever actually sailed against Dave Perry. I've only been coached by him, and a few of my team members like Max Brennan and Daniel Pegg have sailed with him, but it was the first time I had ever gone head-to-head with Dave.
I can't tell who's in that other boat. This is another one of Peter Taylor's photos, I believe.
That's Dave Perry.
I thought it was David, but I wasn't 100% sure. When you can't see his hair, I don't know for sure who it is, Jeffrey.
Yeah, he likes his sneaky little Artemis beanie that he wears pretty much anytime it's under 65 degrees.
Dave, of course, grew up in Connecticut, just across Long Island Sound from Oak Cliff, and is, as who was it just saying here? Blake Middleton. Dave Perry is one of my all-time favorite humans in the sport, period. Well said, Blake. He certainly is. Jeffrey, anything else about David?
I mean, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, Dave is one of the most special people I've ever had the chance to work with. Not only is he an amazing teacher, he's an amazing sailor. He might actually, you know what, he is the best teacher I've ever had. In all of my schooling, sailing, coaching, Dave just finds a way to get through to people and keeps people engaged and keeps people coming back. And I have nothing but good things to say about Dave Perry. And I owe a lot of, the team's success and my individual success to him. He got me to where I am today.
Well, he was a school teacher by profession at a private school, and I think he was the athletic director and coach of this or that. So
Yeah.
he is a pro, but he's way more than that. He's a Pied Piper, Julia. I don't know if you've met him.
I haven't. I've only heard about him.
He went to Yale. He's a famously good sailor, a couple years younger than I. And Greta, what a great comment about Dave Perry, Jeffrey, Blake Middleton is saying. I couldn't agree more. So terrific guy, nice going at the Oak Cliff, where it's run by Don Riley, of course, with lots and lots of volunteers, including our Fozy, Peter Taylor, who was there. But you look at the list of people, Jeffrey, who were there running the races, umpiring, helping out on shore, and Don and the rest of the Oak Cliff crowd just do an amazing job, don't they?
They do.
Yeah, they do. They do a great job putting on such great events. It's not always tricky. It's very tricky to run races out in Oyster Bay and Cold Spring Harbor. The wind's relatively shifty, and especially the final day on Sunday, it was blowing 20 to 25 knots the entire day. So it's definitely not particularly easy conditions to run racing in, but they do a fantastic job like always, and we had a great time sailing out there.
Yeah, so breezy on Sunday for what, the semis and the finals?
Yeah, we did one race of the round robin and then the semis and finals.
And was that all no spinnaker because of the breeze?
The first race of the round robin and the first race of the semifinals were with spinnakers, and then the wind started to pipe up a bit more and was sustaining over 20, and that's when they decided to put up the Z flag for no spinnakers, and it was just a main and gym match race.
What do you think of the SM40s, this what used to be called Swedish Match 40s, the fleet of which were bought by Oak Cliff, now many years ago?
Yeah, I'm not sure when they were purchased, but they are fantastic boats. They do a great job maintaining them through the programs that they have there. They actually have the kids that are in the program at Oak Cliff work on the boats for experience. So the boats are always really well maintained. They're actually a 1/2 size model of the old America's Cup boats, the IACC class. So they sail very, very similar to those types of boats. They sail at like 30 degrees a heel. They're super narrow. They're like maybe 6 feet wide. With my wingspan, you can actually reach and touch either side of the boat. So they go upwind super well. Downwind really well as well. They're just really fun boats to sail. And it's very different to what we sail out here in California. A lot of our match racing's in the Catalina 37s. And so to be able to go out and sail these boats was a lot of fun, especially because we haven't done it in so long. I think the last time I sailed the 40s was in 2016 with Porter Killian and his family. So it was good to get back out on the boats and to get racing back in Oak Cliff.
So nicely done. You won over Pearson Potts, who's a hell of a good sailor in his own right and also match racer. Who's Peter Wickwire?
Peter Wickwire is a match racer from Canada. So he's done a lot of sailing out at Oak Cliff. It hasn't branched out too much besides the racing at Oak Cliff. I haven't seen him do too much international sailing either, but he is a very, very competitive match racer, and we had a really great semifinal match against him. But we were able to take the win and move on to the finals to race Petersen, which was a really fun finals battle.
Now, your team was a little different from the Butler Cup. And is this going forward? Will these guys all be? Tell us, first of all, who they are. I've got their names in the lower third, but tell us about them.
Yeah, so, Max Brennan, Max Mayo, Max Brennan, Daniel Pay, Chandler Moore, and myself. So it was a team of 5. Daniel was already out on the East Coast for this one. Chandler is a sailor down out of San Diego who we met through one of our other team members. Like we said, we're trying to grow our team pool of people. And so this was a really good event to get Chandler out. It was actually his first match racing regatta ever. So to be able to come out and get him a win, he was doing offside in the pit. So it was really awesome to see him get out there and have a lot of fun and really enjoy the sport as much as we do. But most of the guys here are the same. Unfortunately, Chandler and Daniel won't be sailing with us for the Ficker Cup. But Max Mail and Max Brennan, they're like my two key players. I really don't like to go sailing without them. Max Mail is my voice of reason and my tactician who trims my main on the boat, and Max Brennan is a real big driving force behind the team and is one of the best trimmers I've ever had the pleasure of sailing with. And he's been super influential in helping the team get ready for our season of events this year.
Well, congratulations to all of you. And we are trying, as you know, I sent you that photo this morning and said, let me have the names. I know Max Brennan. I sort of know Max Mail. I've met Daniel Pegg, but I don't know him well. I don't think I've ever met Chandler. But to try to ID faces, it drives me nuts. And I know, Julie, it drives the Fosey crazy, too,
Yes.
when we get pictures and when people send out press releases. You just, and no names with the faces, and it absolutely is a tragedy, and we should be doing a much better job of it. We do a pretty good job at Gov Cup, and I guess, Jeffrey, you probably know we're going to do an even better job with crew names this year. I don't know if you've been familiar with some of that. We've had a couple of calls, Andy Rose and myself and Chris Bretschker and so on. We're going to do an even better job, not only with getting crew names on the lower thirds, but doing a little feature of people like Max Brennan, because we know how important he is to your program. And of course, Max is now your tactician, right?
Yeah, it's super important, and it's really great to hear that more people are stepping up to recognize crews in sailing. I started as a crew, and now being a skipper, a lot of the attention and the congratulations get directed towards the skipper. But in the grand scheme of things, skippers really have the least amount to do on the boat and have the least effect of where the boat, how the boat performs in a race. My job is I always want to try to put, 4 or 5 people in front of me that are better at their job than I am. And they absolutely deserve way more credit than I ever should in terms of the sailing. Without these guys in front of me, the boat doesn't go sailing. And without especially these specific guys, we don't win regattas. Like, these guys put their heart and soul into sailing, and they work so incredibly hard, put their bodies on the line, and they just perform day in and day out. And there's no better team that I could ask for. So absolutely, the crew should definitely be more recognized, and a lot more credit should go to them and how they sail, because they put so much time and effort into it. And it's really good to see that more people are starting to recognize that.
Jody Shields saying, come on, Tom, the Titanic. Now, that was a tragedy, not putting the crew name. It is a tragedy. It's wrong. Jody, I beg to differ. So we need to have crew names. Jeffrey, you put that perfectly, I think. And we should all redouble our efforts. Tell you what, Talbot Wilson, who's on here, who is a consummate PR guy. We've had him on the show. He's a Fosey. And Bernie Wilson did that. We keep saying we're going to do that segment again.
We should. It was
Talbot,
really good.
Say again, Julia?
It was a really good segment.
Well, the sooner we can get Bernie Wilson on here again to tell us what he, as a mainstream news reporter, writer, sports writer, wants to know from regattas, and then we get Talbot Wilson to come on again and tell us what. I think it must have been 3 years ago we did that.
Yeah, at least.
Jeffrey, well done. And there's a couple other questions, but so well said. Oh, Stingray is asking, any overall impressions to share from the Sail GP? You were here watching Saturday and Sunday. What'd you think?
Yeah, honestly, it was incredible. It was my first time seeing the F50s in person and actually go racing. I had followed a lot of the racing online, watching the races as they, progress through the season. But to be able to go and see the event in person was really cool. And I think they do a really great job promoting the event, especially to non-sailors. It's interesting. It really is tricky sailing those boats, and I know it's incredibly difficult to run those types of events. But it is really cool to see that kind of racing, and I think that's where the future of the sport is going. And I think foiling is here to stay. So it's really cool that there is an upper echelon for that tier in the sport, and that's something that maybe one day I can be a part of. That's something I'm really interested in, and I think the teams do a great job. And I'd love to continue to see it grow. I think they're adding on the Canadian team next year, which is going to be great. And I'd love to see more and more boats get into it. If you get to 15 or 20 boat fleet, I think that'd be absolutely incredible racing. And it'd be something that a lot of people would be interested in following. So overall impressions is just super cool. I think it's really awesome. Are there room for improvement? Sure, but who am I to say that? I'm just a match racer, but I'd love to try my hand in that level of sailing someday.
Well, I was going to ask if you aspired to sail like our buddy, our mutual friend, your good buddy Leo Takahashi, who is because he's the flight controller now for the Japanese team, right? So, and that's a big deal, which leads to another question from Gordon Smith in Denmark: is Jeffrey a foiler?
So currently, I have very minimal foiling experience, but with the help and the support of Dr. Bray and the Disc Sport and Spine Center here, we've made a purchase of a foil board. So I'm going to be putting a lot of hours in practicing on the wing foil, as well as practicing on the NACRA 20 and WASP and MOS in the area. So I am not currently a foiler, but I am very much working towards becoming a foiler.
Show us that logo again on the shoulder. And tell us who Dr. Bray is. He was up here also. He was the team doc, wasn't he, for not just a particular team, but for all the teams here at Sail GP?
Yes, he was the head doctor for all of Sail GP. So if anyone got injured, which a few people did, Doc was the first one to go and check them out, make sure they were okay. I mean, he was stitching Jimmy Spittle's finger up. He was helping with the Danish that broke a leg. Dr. Bray is an incredible human. He's a member of the Balboa Yacht Club, and he runs the Disc Sport and Spine Center here in Newport Beach. They're a surgery center geared more towards athletics, but they do help everyone in spinal and neurosurgery type cases. And they've been an incredible supporter of the Golden State Match Racing team and our sailing. And we could not be more grateful for their support. I get to meet with him weekly, talk about events going forward, talk about where the team needs to go, help with money, the financials behind the team. I mean, he's just an incredible human who has been able and been very generous to give his support to our team so that we could go to the next level in our sailing.
To say nothing of being the sponsor of the Governor's Cup for what now, the third year in a row? I think in a 5-year deal. And not only is he a member of Balboa Yacht Club, but his wife, Tracy, right, is a hell of a good sailor.
She is a wicked sailor, and I've actually done some sailing with her and Dr. Bray on their Carbon Columbia 32 out here in Marina del Rey. And she is a fantastic sailor. She's probably one of the most competitive people I've ever met, and inspires me to be even more competitive than I already am. But I've had a ton of fun going out and sailing on their boat, working with them, and also using that platform as a training purpose for me as well, because there Tracy drives. So for me, it's good to try different roles on the boat, as I do a lot of skippering. So it is always good to be able to get out and get more resources. But it's been a lot of fun racing with them on their boat as well.
Julie, before we lose this comment, Talbot Wilson is saying, glad to do the press office promotion segment again, set up a time with Bernie for his part in what journalists want. I think we want to do Bernie first, what are his needs, and then Talbot second. That's how we did it last time from memory.
Oh, good idea.
And thank you for that. We'll be in touch, Talbot. I'll give you a bell. We've got a great guest coming on next Tuesday, by the way. I just mentioned right now. We got Daniel Forster coming on to do his America's Cup photos.
I know.
Remember we did part one.
Yeah.
And I talked to Danielle this morning. Jeffrey, did you see our part one of the show when Daniel brought all his photos from the Whitbread and from Sydney Hobart and from all the other stuff? And he's got after 40 plus years, he's got so many fabulous photos. I broke that series into 2 different shows, and we're going to do part 2 next Tuesday, a week from today.
Oh, that's great. He has such beautiful stuff.
Daniel.
That'll be fantastic. Those photos are incredible.
They are indeed. There's a question here. Jeffrey is a world-class interview, so well-spoken and enthusiastic. I guess that's a comment from Stingray. Yeah, Jeffrey, as you know, you can do that again. I'm not sure I had you on when you did that.
Thank you.
To Stingray, who's an engineer, retired engineer up at Seattle. By the way, he's getting job offers from various sailing teams. I won't say from whom.
Oh, well.
And he.
Wouldn't you love to have him on your team?
You bet. I mean, he was a coder for Boeing, and he's an aerodynamicist and so on.
Yeah.
Julie Aarons is saying that one of the best shows ever. I don't know if she's talking about this one or the ones we did some time ago. Do you think Jeffrey gets major surgery as part of the sponsorship?
Well,
no, I do not get major surgery as part of the sponsorship. Hopefully I don't ever have to go through major surgery, but a fun story is we actually did have a member of our team, Tyler Wolk, who did bow for us in the Figure Cup and the Congressional Cup last year, and will be doing the same this year, did have a disc replacement performed by Dr. Bray in the Disc Sport and Spine Center following those events. So Dr. Bray is super generous with his time, and he is willing to help anyone who is in need. I mean, I've never seen someone so willing to drop everything at hand and help the person right in front of them, despite everything else that's going on. I mean, he's just such a busy character, and he actually has done some work on some team members, so it is funny, but it is not covered by the team budget per se.
Well, maybe we can get him to work on Julia's knees.
I know.
Julia.
Oh, yes.
Did he do Andy Rose's back?
He did.
He did Andy's back, but also we should mention that he's put Jimmy Spithill back together at least twice, maybe 3 times.
He's put Jimmy Spithill back together, Tommy Spithill. I mean, NHL hockey players, the artist Pink's husband, who's a motorcycle racer. I mean, he's done everyone and everything. I mean, it's incredible what he's been able to do. He's also the primary doctor for all Red Bull athletes. So if any Red Bull athlete in the world gets injured, whoever doctor is tending to him, they have to call Doc and make sure that everything's ready to go. And Dr. Bray confirms the care and the treatment plan for them. And so Dr. Bray is also the only non-athlete allowed to use the Red Bull logo. So there's a little fun fact.
Oh, that's nice.
There's a comment here from Jody that Jeffrey just needs a Red Bull can while he is doing interviews, and he is one step closer to a gig on Sale GP.
I think I've got a can in the fridge. I should go grab the right here.
Show us the disc spine logo on your one more time, Dr. Bray down in Newport Beach, and he is. They're just wonderful human beings, he and his wife, and actually his kids helping us too with the Gov Cup, with the Gov Cup TV.
I've met him.
I think you have.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you see I got a new photo up here, and this is talking about the regatta. You got practice day tomorrow, and it runs what? Thursday, Friday, Saturday is the Ficker Cup, for which you have qualified. Long Beach Yacht, well, I guess you had already qualified, right? That wasn't because of these most two, but you're on a roll. How are you going to do in Ficker Cup?
Well, the boys are feeling good. You know, this year is an incredibly difficult lineup. We've got a lot of great sailors: Anna Osling, Dave Perry, Emil Kayer, David Wood. There's a lot of really great teams that we have to get through in order to qualify for the Congressional Cup. We did it last year, though, so we're feeling really confident. This is a picture from last year's Ficker Cup against Nicole Brialt. So we've been putting in the hours. You know, now at this point, we got to make the weigh-in, rest from last weekend, and do what we know how to do best. I think if we can put together a regatta like we have been doing the past couple weekends, I think we'll have a very good shot at winning the event and going on to qualify. That's kind of been the target for everything in the post, in the off season over the winter. Getting ready for this, we've been doing a lot of training, a lot of man hours put forth to get where we are now, and so we're looking forward to going on and putting a good event.
Well, the Ficker Cup, of course, was named after the late great Bill Ficker, who is from Newport Beach, was originally a starboat sailor, and Ficker was quicker. Remember, Julia, in which event?
Indeed, America's Cup.
America's Cup, 1970, aboard Jeffrey.
Intrepid.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very well done. Now, if you win Ficker Cup, that qualifies you to go forward to Congressional Cup.
That is correct.
Have you sailed in Congressional Cup before?
Yes, I have. We sailed in it last year. We qualified through the Ficker Cup. We lost the finals of the Ficker Cup, but still took second place, which the top 3 teams last year got to qualify forward. So myself, David Wood, and Emil Kayer from Denmark got to qualify for the Congressional Cup. So we sailed in the Congressional Cup last year, and that was an incredible experience for the team. And we actually put together a really awesome regatta. We just missed out on the semifinals by half a point. So that was a bit of a bummer, but we took 5th in the event in our first year sailing it. And we were all, we had an average age of the boat, I think, of 22. But 4 of the members were under 21 at that point when we raced. So, our whole goal behind our team has been to create a team which mostly youth-based. Obviously, we do sail with some adults because there is no substitution for experience. But our goal has been to put together a majority youth team to go and compete at the highest levels of match racing. And so far, we've been successful in doing that. And we look to continue to increase our presence on the World Match Racing Tour and at higher level match racing events, and maybe, who knows, the America's Cup or, what have it later on. We'll see.
We're about an hour and 2 minutes into TFE Live, show number, what is this, 513, I think, Julia. With us from Newport Beach, live via Skype, is the young and articulate and enthusiastic longtime friend Jeffrey Petersen. I've known him, I guess, now for the better part of
his life.
Not really, but for 6, 7, maybe 8 years, we've done some offshore sailing, laying on the leeward rail on the way to Ensenada late at night, talking about life, liberty, and the pursuit of sailing. And it's great to have you on, Jeffrey. There's some comments coming through here and questions. Jonathan Frank saying Jeffrey's enthusiasm is contagious.
Absolutely.
Good quick answer on the intrepid answer for Ficker. Yep. Tom Spithill, Jody Shields is saying Tom Spithill talks about how the doctor sorted out his back on Jody's latest podcast. By the way, have a listen to Jody's podcast. We're enjoying it. Pedro Foiling Sailor, a.k.a. Peter Stevenson down under in Sydney, is saying, where Jody Shields is, by the way, or north of Sydney, Jeffrey is so articulate and a great ambassador for sailing. Now, Jeffrey, I'll ask you the question that I've asked you before, and actually talked to your mom and dad about. One of the things, because you're articulate and bright and quick brain, you've been doing some commentating with Andy and myself, and with Andy and with me as well. I think, Julia, you tell me, you're a headhunter and a professional evaluator of talent, young and old. I think Jeffrey ought to go to USC or UCLA, go to broadcast school, and come out and be the next great sports commentator, sailing or otherwise. What do you think, Julia?
It could well be.
Jeffrey, have you ever thought about that?
That could be an option. I did apply to USC for a fall transfer this year, so we'll see. I didn't apply as a broadcasting major, but
how could they resist?
Change majors pretty easily these days, so maybe.
Say that again, Julia.
I said, how could they resist?
How could they resist? What a poised young man. A great spokesman, Clayton Allen Embley, is saying. Alex Kent is saying, forget about USC. He's saying go to Northwestern or go to Michigan State, or who else has got a good broadcast school? I guess Columbia, right?
SC has a lot of.
Well, a great film and communication school at SC, as does UCLA.
Yes.
So does Chapman. Chapman University is a great
school. Chapman University in Orange, just around the corner from Balboa Yacht Club and Newport Harbor Yacht Club. Jeffrey, another photo, and then we'll let you go. I know are you going to practice this afternoon?
No practice this afternoon, just focusing on making the weight cut. We've got a steep 20 pounds to cut off before tomorrow, so I'm going to be hitting the treadmill here pretty soon to sweat out some water weight.
Come on, you don't have an ounce of fat on your body. How are you going to lose any weight?
Water weight. It's not the healthiest way to do it, but it's the way to get it done.
You put on, like wrestlers did, you put on sweatsuits and plastic pants and jackets and...
Quite literally a trash bag over the clothes I'm already wearing, sweats and a hoodie, and hit the treadmill and run till I can't run anymore.
And
how much will you lose?
I'm aiming for about 10-pound cut.
You got to be kidding me.
It's quite a steep one.
What do you weigh?
Working to get the boys on board.
What do you weigh?
Oak Cliff, I weighed in at 170, so target weight for me will be 160 coming into this event.
And you're what, 6'2" or 3"?
I'm 6 foot, 6 foot flat.
6 foot flat. Well, I thought you were taller than I. Of course, I've shrunk.
Well, I wish I was taller than that, but.
Haircut will get you 5 pounds, Dana Cottle is saying. Who's Dana? I don't know Dana Cottle.
My aunt.
That's your aunt.
Yeah.
Your auntie is on here, Dana Cottle. Haircut will get you 5 pounds.
Yeah.
So some of your other guys, how much do you have to lose?
So overall, the team's got to lose 20 pounds between 6 people. So it's not as bad as it seems. It's only a 5-pound cut. The reason it's a 10-pound cut for me is I weighed in at Oak Cliff this past weekend at 170 pounds, which is the most I've weighed in probably 5 years. So I'm working to kind of work off those extra pounds there. I don't know where they came from. They kind of snuck up on me, I guess. But got to get those off before I hop on the scale tomorrow.
And how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay, so I won't recommend that you switch to what Julia and I drink, which is tequila soda. Since you're under the drink, I know you don't drink if you're under the drinking age.
Right.
Can't do that. Can't do that for another 8 months.
Dodgy, what is this from Jody Shields? Dodgy Vindaloo will get you some weight loss. That sounds like eating Mexican food or something. Losing.
Doing an all protein diet would do it too.
Well, I'm sure they're already doing that. Okay, enough of this. Losing water weight Does not sound healthy, Peter Stevenson is saying. Now, Peter knows something about that, losing weight for laser master sailing. James Frederick Glenn, 170 is very close to his ideal weight at 6 feet. The others should lose their share. Just wait for the future changes to your metabolism, Jeffrey Blake Middleton is saying.
I agree with him, really.
Huh?
I agree with him.
Well, by then he'll be able to drink tequila soda.
Yeah.
Rather than beer or wine, whatever he drinks now. I don't know. He probably doesn't drink. Right, Jeffrey?
Not very much unless I'm in a foreign country where it's legal.
Your mom and dad who are probably watching will be very proud of that answer. Marcos Feinstein said, I don't know where they came from, quote of the day. 20, even more impressive, Clayton. Okay, enough about Jeffrey. Yes, we wouldn't have Jeff. We only have impressive people on the show, don't we, Julia?
Absolutely.
Saw a comment from Peter Sengmeister, who is in the same boat. He's sailing with us this week, and I'm actually going up at later today at 7 o'clock to hit the sauna up at Long Beach Yacht Club with him to shed out a little bit more water. So it's good to see Pete on here as well.
Yes.
Well, and Pete, attack bikes and saunas, he's saying. Peter's saying, whoops, where's that comment? Yeah.
It's a tough.
And he can lose a couple pounds. I mean, he's not quite as skinny as you, but he's a fit boy. And he's a fin sailor, isn't he? Is he the fin sailor?
Yes.
Yeah.
He is a fin sailor. He's been putting a lot of work into the fin and been sailing really well, has had some success in the class, and he's been getting really into it, which is awesome.
And you guys sailed together in high school at Mater Dei?
Yep, we sailed on the Mater Dei team together, and we've done some offshore sailing as well on his father's boat, the Rock and Roll. And actually, Peter and I are working to build out a training program on the Knackwurst 20 to go practice some foiling. So Pete and I know each other really well and do a lot of sailing together.
A couple other comments. James Frederick Bland, who's up in age near me, he's not quite as old as I, saying 35 is the start of his decline and the real work will start. John Sangmeister is also on here, Peter's dad. And, Sangmeister, I don't know if you know this, Julia. Sangmeister, I hope he doesn't mind my saying this, but he's doing intermittent fasting. He's doing what I do, which is not eating breakfast until 3 in the afternoon or 2. And that's tough because he's in the restaurant business.
Yes.
And John Sangmeister's on here. We want John to do a cooking segment for us. There's a request, Jeffrey. You've eaten at Gladstone's in Long Beach. We're giving all sorts of ads today. Gladstone, Disc, Spine, and Sports. Now let's give one for Long Beach Yacht Club. Now this is the Rose Cup. Apparently they have a fleet of Solings at Long Beach Yacht Club. They bought all new spinnakers one here. Is that true, Jeffrey?
It is, yes. They've been the Long Beach Yacht Club. They had a fleet of Solings, and they got the bid to host the Rose Cup, and they've been putting a lot of time and effort into making the Solings really even and super competitive race boats. And I haven't actually sailed with them with the spinnakers, but they did make spinnakers for them, and they're planning to host the Rose Cup there in the middle of June, and it should be a good event.
What is the Rose Cup?
I'm sorry?
What is the Rose Cup?
So the Rose Cup is the U.S. Youth National Match Racing Championship. So it's a match racing championship for youth sailors. You have to be older than 14 but younger than 21. And you can't turn 21 in the year of the event. So last year was my last year racing in the event, and we actually were fortunate enough to win that event to kind of close out our chapter of sailing the Rose Cup. And so now we're looking to go back and coach and to be commentators at the event and to still be involved in the event, because it's a really great opportunity for young match racers in the U.S. to get a little taste of what it's like in the sport and maybe spark their interest enough to be able to go on and do some more racing.
In fact, the aforementioned Dave Perry really got that thing on the road, and he goes and runs clinics. I mean, it's really a clinicata. I don't like the word. Sounds like Enagata Davida, that'll get Stingray and some of the old rockers happy. But it's really a clinicata, a clinic and regatta combined. Yep. You won that last year, and Dave Perry, who is the Pied Piper and has been doing such a fantastic job with match racing in this country. I think Tommy Spithill does an equally good job down in Oz, and there's one or two in New Zealand as well. That's why you see such great strength. But the Rose Cup is named after whom, Jeffrey?
Andy Rose.
He says, I donated the trophy, but I didn't name it after myself. Isn't that what he says?
That is what he claims, but I'm not one to say if it's true or not.
Okay, well, that's the Rose Cup, and we are going to cover that. Gulf Cup TV is going to cover that up at Long Beach on the 15th through the 9th, last 2 days of it, the 18th, 19th, the weekend for the semifinals and finals and whatever else, that maybe the last little bit. We're also going to be covering the Governor's Cup, the 54th edition of which is in Newport Beach at Balboa Yacht Club. It is the Junior Congressional Cup, really the granddaddy. It's the oldest and most prestigious of the International Youth Match Racing Championships. That will be the 25th through the 30th of July. This is a photo from last year, 2021. Jeffrey, who is this team and how did they do?
Well, we won, so they did fantastic job. Going from the front of the boat to the back of the boat is Scott Mays, Max Brennan, and then myself. So a team of 3 for this one. We're going to be sailing with the exact same team again this year, so we're really looking forward to going out and defending our title and hopefully maybe coming away with a second one. So we're looking to put in a lot of effort to that event and get ready for it. It was the first time I'd actually skippered it last year, but it's become my favorite event to sail.
You're just saying that because you're from Balboa Yacht Club.
No, objectively, these are some of the most fun boats to match race. They're really sporty, and we also had great conditions last year where it was blowing 15 to 18 all week, and those boats are a handful in that breeze. But we've got a really athletic team. We've got, we're right on the weight limit, so we were able to really outwork other teams and really sail the boat super physically. That's kind of a lot of our style, is a very aggressive, physical match race team. There's a lot of other teams that play a little bit more of a, finesse or a strategical game, where we just like to go out and cause chaos a little bit sometimes and try to outwork other teams. That's where we feel that we're the strongest.
There was a comment about Max hitting the treadmill, and he's a big boy. He's also very strong, but you could cut his. Every time I see him, I say, Maxie, maybe you ought to cut your hair, and he could probably lose 5 pounds by cutting his hair.
Well, we've actually done the math, and his haircut only cost him about half a pound, so it's really not. I think the style look is much better than the half a pound difference.
Well, he might be like Samson. He might lose his strength too if he cuts his hair, right?
Honestly, there's definitely a little bit of magic in the hair. I don't know, there's something about it, but Max Brennan is one of the best sailors I've ever sailed with, period. It doesn't matter what age range. I would put his trimming abilities, his sailing abilities against anyone in the world. And
a smart, quiet, thoughtful guy at that. Anything else on match racing, youth match racing, senior match racing? We hope you do well this weekend in Ficker. We hope you get on to the Congressional Cup. Do you have to win Ficker, or is it first and second?
Top two.
So
we just have to make it to the finals.
Good. Which you did last year. You were second in Ficker, and that got you to Congressional Cup.
That is correct.
And you were 5th in Congressional Cup last year?
Yep.
At age 19 or 20?
I was 19 at the time.
Yeah. Was that the youngest?
I was the youngest sailor, yes.
Good. Well, that is terrific. Okay, I'm going to change the subject here now and go to the land of the rising sun, in this case, the setting sun, on some dear friends of ours, a Fozy, who is calling off his Olympic campaign. Of course, he is now doing great things in Sail GP and elsewhere. But this, of course, is Ibu Koizumi and Leo Takahashi of Japan. They sailed together at the Olympics, Tokyo 2020, which got postponed, of course, to 2021, as you all know. This showed up earlier today on Leo and Ibu's 49er Sailing Facebook page. We, Leo and Ibu, have decided to dissolve. Now, this is a translation from Japanese, but it's still pretty good. To dissolve with the Tokyo 2020 Olympics and move on our own paths. To those who have supported our activities so far, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone's warm support and cooperation. Our team's goal was to be able to participate in the Tokyo Olympics. And as the 11th place Japan's 49er, we were able to remain the highest ever ranking for Japan in history. From now on, the two people may have different methods and means, but I want to try to be the best sailor that can drag the Japanese sailing world forward. The world is connected by sea. Looking forward to seeing you again somewhere in the ocean. And Jeffrey, I just thought that was a really nice sentiment. Yeah. From our dear friend Leo. I've met Ibu. I don't know him particularly well, but two of the nicest guys in the sport. What sayeth you?
Absolutely. It is definitely a bummer to see these guys dissolve it, but they gave it a hell of a run. They were super competitive. They fought really hard, and it was really fun to watch their journey as they they made a campaign to go. Leo, said that he was going to go out and do this. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to really be good friends with him for quite some time. And it's been really awesome to talk with him and see where he's going in the sport. And, he serves as an inspiration to me. He's a couple of years ahead of me, and, he's working with SailGP now, and he's a flight controller, and he's working really hard with that sort of thing. And that's something that I want to, step into and to follow his path with. So while it is sad to see these two part ways, I know that they both have an amazing future in the sport, and whatever they go on to do, they're going to go on and be successful. So it's really great to see them continue.
Sorry. Last year, at least, Leo was the youngest crew member in SailGP. I don't know that he still is.
I don't think anymore this year with the new additions. Like, I think CJ Perez and some of the other sailors on the SailGP teams are younger than him now.
I think that's right.
And if I'm able to find my way in there, maybe I'll be the youngest. So we'll see.
Good. Well, we'd all think that was wonderful.
Yeah.
A couple last slides for you, JP. JDP. I didn't know what Jeffrey's middle name was. Do you know what his middle name is?
David.
Close.
No, what is it?
It's Dean.
Dean. Oh, that's nice.
Okay. Is there a Dean in your family?
Not sure, honestly. I've been told the story before. My dad has the same middle name, but I couldn't honestly tell you where it came from.
Uncle Dean.
Maybe.
CJ, let's see, there's Daniel Gruen. Hi, Daniel. Is on here from Augsburg, Germany. CJ Perez was 18 when she debuted in Cadiz 2021. Okay, well, that's pretty good. Jeffrey, the Olympics are going to be in LA in 2028, as you know, and our good mutual friend, actually a mutual friend of all of ours, John Sangmeister, who is helping to put that together, is pushing really hard for a match racing event in the LA Games. Now, he doesn't want that to be a separate event, which involves it'll involve some more boats, but more athletes coming in to do a separate event, an 11th event, or by taking away one of the existing events in lieu of match race or in favor of match racing. And I want to test this idea on you. Maybe you've spoken with John about it or with his sons, but he wants to take the sailors from all the teams. Any team that shows up, and some won't. Some show up with only one kiter or one person. Some teams show up with 12 people. He wants to take any team that has 6 people sailing at the Olympics, put them as sort of an all-star team, let their team captain, let their coach choose that if they have more than 6 people on their Olympic sailing team at the Olympics, put 6 of them on a boat, have a match racing tournament, match racing regatta among those. And the reason I like this idea so much is that it gives, for the first time, it gives us the possibility in our sport for some group of people to win more than one medal. You could be the gold medalist in the laser or the bronze medalist in tell me what, and end up on this match racing team that also wins a medal. And I think that is really cool for our sport. Plus, it gets what I think is the best, still to this day, the most celebrated event, many of our FOSI will say, was the 2012 women's match racing event in Weymouth.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that? What do you think?
Absolutely, I would agree. We watched those videos, the replays, the finals, the semifinals, the round robin racing. We watch that all the time for practice and to pick apart the tactics and whatnot. And that is some of the best match racing that I've been able to find on video. It is just so pure and so brutal at the same time. And that's exactly what match racing is all about. Like 2 teams absolutely battling it out, and for representing their country too. I think it's a great idea to be able to incorporate match racing back to the Olympics. Personally, I think it should be its own event. But if that's not able to be possible, then to do a pseudo event in the teams where you're taking, extra sailors and allowing them to compete for more than one medal, I think is also a really great opportunity to continue to grow that aspect of the sport, because match racing is relatively small in the grand scheme of sailing. And it'd be the greatest thing for me to see that take more of an international presence and to see more people get involved with match racing, because I think, 1, it's super fun. 2, it's a really unique community that a lot of people don't get to experience. And 3, finally, it really does help with all other aspects of sailing. What it teaches you in tactics and how close you can put other boats together and learning exactly how quick a boat can turn and stop and accelerate again. I think it's all skills that sailors should have the opportunity to have access to. And I think it'll only help sailors become better and raise the overall level of sailing, which is what everyone wants in the sport of sailing. So I think seeing it in the Olympics would be a dream come true for me.
Yeah, Gordon Smith is making the good point. I think it's a good idea and doesn't require a change to the number of athletes invited to the games.
That's correct.
And that is correct. And I like that idea a lot. And I hope John Sangmeister can prevail. And anything, John, I think he's still watching, any of us can do to help that. Jeffrey, I don't think you're going to get a single match racing event, a discrete, well, call it what you want. It's going to be a medal race. It's going to be the real deal. And the idea of giving ourselves as a sport, as our beloved sport, another event, I don't think it's going to happen. But giving ourselves the opportunity for some sailors to win a second medal, I think is just fantastic. And let's hope that happens in the Olympics 2028 in LA. And David James is asking, how would athletes train? Well, they'd go on the World Match Racing Tour and they'd get some boats and they do their own thing. And the sailors, as soon as the team knows that they're going to have, tell me what, more than six or more sailors at the Olympics, they'd say, hey, we got a chance to sail in the match racing event to win another medal. So I think it's good stuff. Jeffrey, I've got one more picture for you. And just ask for, I'm not sure I showed it to you in the tech check, but just to get your reaction to this photo. When was it taken, and what does it mean to you?
I believe that was taken at the 2012 Governor's Cup. I was there. My family and I actually have a picture in front of it, taken at the Balboa Yacht Club, and that's the 3 most iconic trophies in match racing. The Governor's Cup on the left, Congressional Cup on the far right, and of course the glory beauty, the America's Cup in the middle.
And
you know, I've already won.
You've won one of them, Jeffrey.
The goal is to win all 3. It's never actually been done before to go on and win all 3 trophies. Some say there's a curse that those that win the Governor's Cup and the Congressional Cup don't win the America's Cup, or vice versa. I'm not one to believe in curses, and I'll tell you this, I'm going to do my absolute best to go out and win those 3 trophies.
You promise?
I promise.
Great idea.
Great idea. Jeffrey, last thoughts before we let you go? Go sweat off a few pounds?
Yeah, I gotta go sweat off a few more pounds. No food for me. But thank you so much to Julie and Tom for having me on the show, and to everyone watching. It's been a great pleasure to be here, and I hope that I can come back in the future and continue talking. And I hope that some people get to see this and get more interested in match racing.
Sangmeister says, get a haircut, hippie. Stingray up in Seattle saying, superb guest today. Thank you, Jeffrey. Marcos Feinstein, who you know well, is saying, go Cricket. Blake Middleton wishing you good luck. I just say one other thing. You are going to be on the show again. I mean, we're going to invite you on the show again because since you are racing in Gov Cup this year, as we did last year, we're going to do Road to the Gov Cup again, where Andy Rose will come on, and we will do the interviews with each of the Gov Cup skippers, helms, and maybe we'll do some interviews with crew this time too, apropos some of the thoughts
That'd
from
be a great idea.
Max Brennan and otherwise. But
Yeah.
Jeffrey, we started with you last time, and I think this time we'll end with you, and because you will. But we're going to start that next month, and then leading up to the regatta in July, the Gov Cup, the 54th edition thereof. Good luck this weekend. We'll be following you.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Big hugs. Ciao, bye.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he goes on, Julie, to win all 3 of those events.
I do
Wouldn't
too.
that be nice?
Yes.
That is an impressive array. That was done by Andy Rose and David Robinson, who was then the GM down there. And I took the cup down, or maybe Norbert Byron, I guess, took the cup down there. It was the first and last time those 3 trophies have been together. Maybe we'll get them together again. Rob Sternstein, who I like to say Sternstein, really nice job. Great seeing Jeffrey. Yeah, Rob was also here, Julia, at the Beach Street Yacht Club during Sail GP and came over for a cocktail Saturday night. Jeffrey was here with Andy Rose and quite a few others, including Sandy and Peter Taylor. That was good fun. Ralph Roberts. Hi, Ralph is on from down in Auckland. Good luck, John as master. We are all behind you at the LA gamesmanship. And of course, Ralph Roberts was at the 84 games as Russell Coots, helping Coach Russell Coots, as was Harold Bennett. Carol Blair, your team will be hard to beat. See you at Ficker. Carol Blair is sailing. Tier de Jong, who is, of course, Dutch, but is living in LA, I think, or SoCal. Thanks, Jeffrey, and good luck winning those cups. I'll be watching. Ted Ryman saying, excellent guest. David James, Blake and I. Blake, it was spent, I'm just looking. Yeah, Blake Middleton and I spent many days helping Madro train against Coots for the Soling match racing. It is a completely different discipline. Yeah, it is, but you know what? It is also not. It's, it teaches you about fleet racing. Fleet racing also, boat speed, it's important in everything. So I don't see it as that big a difference. And if we can get sailors a chance to get a second medal at the Olympics, you don't think every sailing team will jump on that with vigor, as JFK, as President John F. Kennedy would have said. With vigor?
Yes.
He would have. Future of our sport is in good hands with fine sailors such as Jeffrey. Jonathan Frank is saying yes. And wait till you see if these kids, Julia, when we did the Road to the Gov Cup last year, we met some really cool kids here on the air when Andy and I interviewing them. Andy does the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But then, of course, because we get them on here, we get to know them better at Gov Cup when they all show up down at Balboa Yacht Club in Newport Beach.
Right.
Morris Stevens, what a nice interview from a stellar individual. Credit to his family and the sport of sailing. Indeed. Jet Marco saying, seriously, Jeffrey, okay, Jeffrey's going to get a big head here. He's still listening. He's still there watching. He doesn't. It's one of the nice things about him is that he doesn't have a big head. He's a humble kid. We were always worried that his head, sailing with us on It's Okay, that his head would, but he is, thanks probably to his parents and to people like Andy Rose and Stephen Frederick and a few of the others who have kept him on the straight and narrow, and he's really a great kid. We appreciate him being our special guest today, Fuzzy Jeffrey Petersen of the Golden State Match Racing Team. Julia, it's time for this day in history. Pay special attention to see if you get this. On this day, the 12th of April, because I don't think we looked at this during the tech check, in 1961, here is your first clue. Handsome chap.
Yeah.
Here is your second clue.
Oh, yeah. First astronaut.
Close. He was a cosmonaut.
Cosmonaut, rather, yeah.
And his name was?
Yuri Gagarin.
Well done. Yuri Gagarin, the Russian. He went up, did one lap around the planet, as Kayard likes to say, only he did it in space, not on the sea. Windiest guy in sailing, first man in space. Gordon Smith had it. Yes, he was the first man technically in space, went up. And it was interesting. There's a sailing connection here, believe it or not. And here is the video to prove it.
That's how they picked him up.
Nope. Watch. This is really cool. I did not know this. Courtesy of the BBC.
Conquerors Park, a few hundred miles south of Moscow. It's a celebration of Russia's achievements in space exploration. And the reason the park was built here is that 60 years ago, this place became part of a remarkable story. On the 12th of April, 1961, a Soviet Air Force pilot, Yuri Gagarin, became the first human to blast into space. And on his descent, Gagarin parachuted out of the tiny space capsule he was in, and he landed here. This was farmland at the time, much to the surprise of a 5-year-old girl who was out in the fields planting potatoes.
Бабушка делала луночки, а я просто помогала, бросала картошечку в лунки. Через некоторое время я обернулась в поле и увидела что-то оранжевое, красивое, непонятно что. И шел к нам навстречу Бабушка испугалась. Бабушка испугалась, схватила меня за руку, и мы хотели убежать в сторону дома. Говорит: мамаша, стойте, я свой. Я бабушке сказала: остановись, послушай, говорит по-русски, человек, наверное.
He's probably human.
What do you remember most about this spaceman
Yeah.
who was suddenly standing in front of you?
Конечно, улыбка. Улыбка. И голос такой добрый. Бабушка спросила: откуда ты, на чем, как сюда попал вообще на поле? Он говорит: я на корабле.
I came on a ship.
Она ему
There's
сказала:
no
тут
sea
воды
near here.
близко
She thought he
нету,
was a
какой корабль?
sailor.
Он говорит: я с неба.
Or a seaman of some type.
Came from the sky.
Oh, man.
Раскрывай объятия столицы.
The next call was at Admiralty House to see the Prime Minister. Mr. Macmillan said, he's a delightful fellow, which just about sums up what everybody thought.
How does it
Okay,
feel?
this goes on. You get the idea. But I thought there was at least that bit of a sailing connection that she thought he was from the sea. He had an orange thing on.
Yes.
Spoke Russian. He must be a human. I remember this well.
Oh,
I mean,
do
and of
too.
course, think what this started. I mean, it was Sputnik in what, 58 or 9, whenever Sputnik was.
7.
Was it that early?
Yeah.
But Sputnik, and then Gagarin being the first human, the first person to orbit. And they, God knows how many dogs and maybe some other humans that they lost.
Cats.
There was cats and whatever else they
Dog,
lost.
yeah.
But it was pretty astonishing. And it started the space race, and it really fueled
Yeah.
or refueled the Cold War and quite some era, I remember.
Was April 61 also Guantanamo?
63, wasn't it?
No.
Was it 61? 62.
62, I guess.
Gagarin looks like a cool guy. Monkeys, yeah, they had some monkeys. Did they have monkeys? The U.S. had some monkeys up in space. Boomers have seen the most rapid changes in the history of man. James Bland is saying, yeah, couldn't agree more. It's hard to believe that was not that long ago, 60 years ago, 61 years ago. And it was Yuri Gagarin, on this day in history, orbited the Earth. And I put RUS. I was going to put USSR, but he was Russian.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. And it had a bit, okay, it wasn't much, but it had a bit of a sailing connection. Come on.
Yes.
Had a bit of a sailing connection.
Mm.
Okay, we'll talk about the America's Cup ever so briefly, the cup date. I love this photo. I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this photo a lot. AC-37 cup date. Now, one of our FOSI who's on here is, I don't know if I'll name him. I'm not sure he wants us to name him. He sent me this photo from Jeddah. And that's, some kind of a light show. I don't know if they did that with drones. That's normally, Stinger will have to tell us. I think that's how they normally do that. Maybe Jonathan Frank will know. But that's from, obviously, the Jeddah Yacht Club in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. And one of our FOSI is there right now. If he wants to comment, he can. He sent this to me. I'm not quite sure what the occasion was or what's going on there. The right stuff, Jonathan Frank is saying. Replying to James, we aren't done yet. Space programs were cover stories for nuclear, ballistic missiles, and spy satellites. Now, there's a guy who was in the Navy for a long time and knows a lot about a lot of things. That's J. Frederick Bland, as I like to call him. Considering the Wright brothers flew only 50 years earlier than Gagarin is pretty astonishing.
Yes.
I think that and astounding. I think Jonathan Frank is right on. Of course, Jonathan Frank is a pilot for United Airlines. You would know. Yes, they do big fancy drone shows in Jeddah, 3D and all, Stingray is saying. Mm-hmm. Well, it's an interesting shot, but let's get back to our AC news. We started on Friday with this AC history through the lens of the camera that americascup.com has been running, and it's a terrific historical photo essay. This is part 2. 3 more, can't remember, it's 3 or 4 now. Put this together late last night, Julia. Mm-hmm. There are very few photographers in the world of sailing in the America's Cup like Gilles Martin Raget of France and Carlo Berlanghi of Italia, who have brought the cup to life through thousands of photos over 40 plus years in the case of Gilles Martin Raget. Their challenge, pick a simple, memorable photo from each edition to tell the history of the cup as seen through their eyes. And I showed you 3 or 4 of them on Friday. Well, here's a few more. And these are all courtesy of americascup.com and those 2 esteemed photographers. Gilles Martin Raget trying other paths, he calls this, the cheeky challenge thrown by Michael Fay with its huge KZ-1 monohull in 1988, not this boat, not only sent the America's Cup into the limbo of the New York Supreme Court for months, but also produced 2 incredible boats that were technically very much ahead of their time, especially the light wing-rigged catamaran Stars and Stripes 88, which left no chance to its opponent. And then there was this boat, the aforementioned big boat, or KZ-1. This is a Carlo Berlanghi shot, boring and senseless, back from Hawaii, from the what used to be called the Pan Am Clipper Cup. It was an terrific offshore event in the Hawaiian Islands, and then it was the Kenwood Cup, and I can't remember a couple other sponsor names, but he was on his way back from that, stopped in San Diego for only 3 days for what was a boring and senseless America's Cup between 2 revolutionary boats, the U.S. Stars and Stripes and the giant KZ-1, Sir Michael Fay's boat. Then this photo, also by Carlo, Il Moro di Venezia 1 was the official photographer of the Italian Challenge. This is now in the 92 Cup. Il Moro di Venezia, the eventual winner of the Louis Vuitton Cup, the Challenger Selection Series. This shot of the launch of Il Moro in the San Marco Basin in Venezia, in Venice, is majestic and beautiful, and was commissioned by, well, the syndicate owner, the promoter, Raul Gardini, the late great, under the direction he hired Gianfranco Zeffirelli to put on what was the most incredible launch ever of a yacht. And this was, I guess this was ITA-1, the first boat. It was either ITA-1 or ITA-2. Fantastic launch ceremony in Venice. And you see all the gondoliers there?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
You see them all here? Yep. These are all Venice gondoliers surrounding the boat up on the barge. It was just a fabulous, fabulous ceremony.
That's how he got to go to Chiardini.
Well, Chiardini then was driving, was the skipper for that team. Can you please have Sharon Green? Yes, Sharon has long since promised to come on, and we'll do that because she is also a fabulous photographer. We'll do that. But wait, there's more. This also from 88, this is from 92. Gilles Martin Raget. Here comes the ACC yachts, the first cup for which was 92. This photo shows the very first circling of the very first ACC yachts, specially created for the America's Cup. This was in Sète, France, between Marc Pajot's F1 and Il Moro di Venezia, with Paul Caird at the helm. F1, yeah. If the French actually had sail number 1, FRA, we changed it FRA 1, and I think that Il Moro, they built 5 boats. I think it was ITA 2, because we also, for that cup, for the first time, we made the sail numbers sequential, which is why when we got to 100 in Valencia, we'd built almost 100 boats. We'd skipped 13. You know the story about us. We were going to skip 69. Right. And the French put their hand up, so we like 69. We like that sail number. Yeah. But I digress. We're back here to what was, I think, FRA 1 and ITA 2, the first 2 boats. And the first circling, the Italian boat was launched in Venezia a few months earlier in a fantastic production organized by Francesco Zeffirelli, as we mentioned, and financed by the flamboyant syndicate owner Raul Gardini, who killed himself ultimately. Unfortunately for them, those 2 very wide boats were not heading in the right corner of the new rule, as a much narrower America Cubed won the Defender Series easily and the final match in San Diego. So those nice photos again in this continuing series. And we'll hopefully have more for you on Friday, if not also next week, when, as I mentioned earlier, Danielle Forster. Yes. Next Tuesday, not Friday, but next Tuesday, Danielle's coming on. And we'll do part 2 of the Danielle Forster image, fabulous image parade. And this is another Gilles Martin. Whoops, I don't want to get to Jody yet. We got to Jody. Yeah. I'm going to go back. Somehow I'm going to go back. And once a video's playing, it's hard for me to stop it. Come on, go back. There we go. Fabulous photo by Gilles Martin Raget. We showed you on Friday the cross in 87 in the match. Kookaburra, the only time Kookaburra crossed ahead of Stars and Stripes. And where was Gilles Martin Raget? Right behind, getting the epic photo. One of the most memorable photos in the history of the America's Cup. Now, with that behind us, we can get to Correct or Crutonic, which I think is interesting. It's fun, but it's interesting. Still related to the America's Cup. This article, this person, this is Francesco Bruni, as you will know, from Italy, one of the co-helmsmen of Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli in the last Cup, was interviewed by an Italian paper, and it was widely picked up by Duncan Livingstone in an article for stuff.co.nz, the headline for which was America's Cup, Team New Zealand more beatable in Barcelona, claims the Luna Rossa star. Thank you, Stingray, for sending me this link this morning. Luna Rossa star Francesco Bruni. I'm just going to excerpt from what was a long article. Francesco Bruni senses increased vulnerability in Team New Zealand with their decision to defend the America's Cup in Barcelona. Bruni, who co-helmed the Italian syndicate with Australian Jimmy Spithill in the Cup loss to the Kiwis at Auckland 2021, believes giving up home advantage makes Team New Zealand, quote, more beatable. But then you heard that here on this show. I know a lot of Kiwis don't agree with that. I know that Daniel and a few others of you on here don't agree with that, but at least they're picking this up. Some of this is probably head games, but nonetheless, Francesco Bruni has given this interview in the Italian papers, picked up in the Kiwi papers. And it goes, this is Palermo24h.com. The Kiwis have given up the home factor, preferring to put the economic part first. What do you think of that?
Oh, how could that possibly be?
Quote, this quote continues, the defender is always the defender, but from a logistical point of view, we have an advantage because getting to Barcelona is certainly less complicated than moving to Auckland. Absolutely right.
Yes.
In my never so humble opinion. I am convinced, the quote goes on, that the New Zealanders in Barcelona can become more beatable. Now, I'm asking you, is this correct or crutonic? Is this view correct or is it crutonic? Bruni said there were other things to consider that could even the playing field and increase the competitiveness of the challenging fleet. Quote, the weather conditions will be varied and there may be some waves compared to Auckland, as we will be racing in the open sea. True. It is, and by the way, waves will be bouncing off the breakwater, as we said in the last couple of shows, just like when I was there umpiring and judging at the Olympics '92. They come in, bounce off the breakwater, come back out. And it had that same situation in Valencia, but we were a little further off the breakwater. So he's talking about the weather. He's talking about some bumpiness. It is also an important variant for the purposes of boat design. Even for this reason, it is difficult to predict favorites, he told Palermo24hours.com. Bruni felt that the return of former champions Alinghi from Switzerland was also significant, which I totally support. That the presence of Alinghi will make the challenger stronger. It will certainly raise the level of the competition. Alinghi makes the race for the final more competitive. Whoever comes out of the selection races will be more competitive, unquote. Double winners Alinghi join returning challengers from Auckland, Luna Rossa, American Magic, and Team, well, it's Team UK. It's Britannia, Ineos Britannia for the Barcelona edition. There is also talk of talk is cheap. There's also talk by Stefan Candler of a French syndicate getting involved. This, an article by Duncan Johnstone in stuff.co.nz. So I ask you, is Francesco Bruni, and by extension, your host, is this concept, is this precept, is this view correct or crutonic? Julia, you get the first go at this. You're reading the comments.
Yeah, I don't know, because it could go either way.
You're so diplomatic.
No, but I mean, I think New Zealand lost its great advantage by moving out.
So you agree this concept is correct?
Yeah.
Being indecisive, I cannot make up my mind. Peter Foiling Sailor said. He sounds like you, Julia. You can make up your mind. You just don't want to say it.
Well,
Tier de Jong says it's correct. All the Kiwi cyclers will make all the difference regarding Ed Worley. Okay. Daniel Grun in Augsburg, Germany. Dalton claims as one of his excuses for abandoning Auckland that the team mindset will be better, more like Viking Raiders, Stingray said. Yes. The cup should be way out to sea, J. Frederick Bland is saying. Ryman says it's correct. Morris Stevens says correct. J. Frederick Bland says it's correct. Ed Worley says, I agree with the Europeans will have an advantage in the next cup cycle. Rob Sternstein, absolutely correct. Julie Aarons, the big supporter of Grant Dalton and Emirates Team New Zealand, says it is croutonic. Steve Gruber, the economic part is first, don't you think, TFE? I think they could have raised just as much money in Auckland. And I still, look, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to put the hair on the backs of some of your necks up. I still think it's going to end up in Auckland, given all the stuff that's going on. Julie Aaron's trash talking and wishful thinking. Yeah, head games. I agree, Julie, some of that. Daniel Green, the Kiwis are 95% favorites again. He's a big supporter along with Julie Aarons. I'm going to have to get Daniel and Julie on here sometime to tell us why they're going to win and really tell us all the things that are so great about those teams.
Right.
Correct, Steve Gruber says, or what else is he going to say? And a few other comments. The photos, where were we back on the photos? So, wow, the first-gen IACC boats were so much wide. Yeah, they were. And what that comment was, those boats were all like aircraft carriers in the first generation, and they got narrower and narrower and narrow until we got to version 5, and they were all slab-sided and very narrow indeed. Those photos are works of art. Jonathan Frank should know he's a painter besides being a pilot. Wiki says ITA1 and FRA2. Thanks, Steve Gruber. That could be right. I rightly don't remember, obviously. Stingray says that Russell and Allison ran an AC World Series in Venice. It was gorgeous, too. Yeah, it was croutonic. The wind was light. I was there.
But beautiful.
It was beautiful, of course. Iconically beautiful, but like Barcelona, Venice is not reliably windy.
No.
Jonathan Frank, the pilot and artist. And he also, that Jonathan Frank, we say he's a Renaissance man. He also sings. I got a video of him singing a Sinatra song that we're going to use at the right moment here on this show. Rob Fry says it's croutonic. Remember Bermuda? Well, that's a good point, Rob. He doesn't think that the Kiwis are going to be at a disadvantage. The club representing the French team has already entered. Candler hasn't made it official yet. Well, we'll see, Daniel Grin, if they make it. I hope they do. I hope the French are there. And I thank stuff.co.nz, Duncan Johnson, for this piece, and again, Stingray for sending it along. Julia, like Venice, it is iconically beautiful. You know where that is?
Malta?
Barcelona.
Oh, Barcelona.
It does look a little Maltese if you don't look at the hills in the background.
Yeah.
But is it reliably windy? It is.
Not reliably windy.
It's not reliably windy. We shall see. Okay, that gets us to the D block. Thanks again to Jeffrey for coming on. It was really fun to have him.
Yes, and his enthusiasm.
Too long. We should have had him on more recently, probably. When he was here, we should have grabbed something. But he wasn't feeling 100%. He had a bit of an earache then. But I just have one piece here in Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, and that is this via Ted Ryman from a new, it's not really a Fozy, but I'm going to try to get him on because apparently he's a cool guy. A guy called Pil-Sung Lee on his Facebook page. He's from the Republic of South Korea, RSK, and he is the Secretary General or the Vice President or something of the Asian Sailing Federation. But I thought that is obviously a decal, but look at how good that is.
Oh, yeah.
Notwithstanding the shadow, which even makes it look better, the shadow from at the top there. Stingray will know, or Clark Chapin will tell us what that is called on an automobile, he being a former Generous Motors, or retired Generous Motors engineer. But that is so cool looking. We should all have something like that on our car, and that was from Pil-Sung Lee. I don't know Mr. Lee, but I've checked out his Facebook page. He's quite an accomplished sailor. Pilsung Lee from the Republic of South Korea's VP. He was president, maybe still is, of the Korean RSK. Can't always say Korean, but the South Korean Sailing Federation. And he is a VP of the Asian Sailing Federation, and apparently a cool guy. Which gets us to the finish line and some sad news that Talbot Wilson mentioned up in the comments earlier. This is shockingly sad. This gal from Tunis, from Tunisia, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I even called up Ben Renmacher up in Vancouver today to ask him if he knew how to properly pronounce her name. Iya Guezguez, I guess. Tunisian Olympic sailor. She sailed in the Olympics 2020 in the FX, yeah, the 49er FX. She has died over the weekend at age 17 after a training accident. This is reported not only by BBC, but also by the IOC and beyond. Tunis is from the BBC Sport. There was even a video about this on BBC Sport. Tunisian Olympic sailor Iya Guezguez has died age 17 after a training accident in waters off the capital, Tunis, on Sunday. Guezguez was the youngest Tunisian at last year's Tokyo Olympics and competed in the women's 49er FX category with her twin sister, Sarah, who is 2 minutes older. The Tunisian Olympic Committee, CNOT, has described her death as, quote, a tragedy in the sports scene, while the Tunisian Minister of Sports and Youth paid tribute to Guezguez and sent his condolences to her family. The details surrounding the tragedy remain unclear, but some reports indicate the accident was a result of bad weather and strong tides.
Winds.
Sorry, thank you, Julia. Winds. Apparently her sister did survive. And apparently, reportedly. The incident has shocked Tunisia's sporting community and sparked anger and frustration among Tunisians, with many questioning management and the nature of safety equipment. An investigation has been launched into the incident, which occurred a few hours before Muslims were due to break their fast on the 9th day of Ramadan. So I really don't know more details than that. I did search the interwebs this morning trying to see what we could see, other than to say that she did say, yeah, that's from Tokyo, from the Enoshima. Her sister Sarah, who's a couple on the left there, a couple minutes younger than Iya in this photo, and a sad occurrence, some kind of a training accident. They were last in the 49er FX in Tokyo, as if that makes any difference. But they were on their way up, and they were, celebrated by Tunisia as having qualified for the Olympics in the first place. Mm-hmm. And one of, if not the youngest women at the Olympics, not just sailing, not just Tunisians. I saw different reports, so I'm not 100% sure, but Iya Guezguez from Tunisia, 2005 to 2022, may she rest in peace. Julia, sad note to conclude on, but it's your witness.
Yes, life goes on. We have to remember that too.
Indeed.
So we like, follow, and share, and our life will go on further.
Indeed. There are lots of comments here. So sad for the family. Sending condolences. Magnus. Thank you, Magnus. He continues to write great stuff.
He does.
So sad we lost a junior sailor. Yeah, I remember that, Steve, in Annapolis due to getting caught in lines and rigging after a capsize in the 420. Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Filing Sailor, the sad news reminds us all to live each day, Julia.
Absolutely.
To the
fullest.
Absolutely. And we do, right? At the Beach Street Yacht Club.
Really try to do that.
That is so sad. Yep. Wise words, Julia. Indeed. Okay. It is sad news, but I thought we should cover it because so many other media outlets have. And if any of you has more information, let us know. We'll cover it in subsequent editions because we want to, we don't want those sorts of things to happen in our beloved sport to anybody. Yeah. Comments are welcome too, even in replay. As many of you watch the show in replay, we appreciate your support via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated. And thanks to everybody for your images, videos, and audio for this show. Julia, last word to you.
Oh, Keep the faith.
Yeah, we're so lucky to have such a great sport and such great friends, the Fozy that are on here and
Yes.
come on every time, and the comments. I can't believe we've done over 500 shows, and you can count on certainly two hands, maybe one hand, the number of times we've had a Croutonic comment
Yeah.
from somebody, and it's not a Fozy, it's somebody that just came on and doesn't realize our code of ethics on here. But what a great sport, what a great group we have, this community of international friends and
Yes.
family, really, from around the world. It's become a family, and it's interesting to
Absolutely.
see how many people meet up and
Yes.
talk to each other, and
I especially appreciate the international contacts that have been made between all of us.
Exactly. I mean, it's from Perth or Brisbane through to Central Europe, Eastern Europe,
South Africa.
and to say nothing of South Africa, South America, and across
Yeah.
North America.
Even Canada.
Oh, Canada. Sarah Douglas. I'm trying to get her on the show. We hope to get her on ASAP. We thank all of you for joining us again today. Hope to see you on Friday. In the meantime, sail fast, sail fast, sail fast. Sail safe and have fun. Ciao for now.